And the Dianoga can be attacked, as you can see here on the camera. It has 20 health, and it has a defense of 3. After you attack it, you can claim damage tokens equal to the damage it suffered. When you defeat the Dianoga, you get 5 victory points. Then each player gains victory points equal to the damage that it actually dealt to the Dianoga.
Yep.
And then at the end of each round, roll 1 green die. Each figure within 4 spaces of the Dianoga suffers damage equal to the Dianoga.
So it looks like a lot of the scenario is going to be causing damage, as well as it, like you said earlier before we started airing, that it's risky to attack the Dianoga.
Right.
Sometimes you'll give that victory point to your opponent.
Yeah, it's really it's those 5 victory points at the end there, right? That you still get victory points for the damage you've dealt to it, but those 5 victory points is actually a significant chunk. That's a whole unit basically.
Yep.
So there was a command card shown while we were reading that. That was thanks to Rule by Fear by Dan. Dan Taylor's the player on the right. He's got Rule by Fear in his list, which lets him draw 2 command cards and then discard 1 at the start of the game. And he looks like he moved 1 Stormtrooper over. And now we've got Matt Phillips. You want to tell us a little more about Matt Phillips' list?
Yeah, Matt Phillips is running a Rebels list.
I think that's actually mislabeled.
That is mislabeled. Absolutely. Let me grab the right. He's running a mercenary list. It looks like he's got a Bantha rider. He's also playing like Devious Scheme, a Tusken Raider. Obviously, Gideon, Argus, and C-3PO are making an appearance. And the ever-present HK Assassin droid.
We saw a lot of them last game. Oh, interesting. So Dan opens the door and then runs away. And sure enough, he's still coming around.
All right, looks like he wants to control a terminal so he can get some command cards.
As we saw in the last game, Kenny, who had taken control of both terminals, really gained an advantage from that.
Definitely.
Jumping back to Matt's list for a quick second, it's pretty similar to the one we saw last round, right?
Yes, pretty similar. The difference is that we do not have Bosk, and instead he's added some Tusken Raiders and Devious Scheme.
What does that do?
Says that after setup, you choose your deployment zone. Your opponent starts the game with initiative and must deploy his figures first. If your opponent also has Devious Scheme, this card has no effect. So it just is a way for you to control setup a little bit more.
Which can matter. I mean, for 1 point, that's not insignificant.
Exactly. And I mean, if you've got an extra point to spend on your list, you might as well throw in Devious Scheme.
Sure. That said, that 1 point does actually matter in this this matchup, funny enough. If I'm adding up things correctly, I believe Dan actually has 39 and Matt has 40. So Dan actually got initiative because Matt included Devious Scheme in his list.
Yes, which actually does play a huge role. All right, and they're opening the door and entering the lair of the Dianoga.
So what is the Dianoga? Do you know off the top of your head?
I believe it is that monster, the eyeball monster in the trash compactor.
I think you're right. Hope. Yeah. Never knew the name in the movies, of course, but now we've got it.
I was a huge Star Wars nerd, so I, of course, knew what it was.
All right. So Matt is setting up himself with some assassin droids. Looks like he's opening the door and sitting outside rather than running around like the stormtroopers did for Dan.
Yes, well, because remember, at the end of the round, you have to roll a green die and you suffer damage if you are within range of the Dianoga.
Matt's rolling against the Dianoga, I believe. That objective token, I believe, marks the Dianoga. Is that correct?
I believe you're correct.
That's a fair bit of damage sitting there.
Ooh, yeah, it is. Dianoga has 20 health and 3 defense.
So you can get 4 through thanks to the assassin droid. Doesn't even need to use the assassin droid's ability to re-roll. So that's 4 damage on the Dianoga already. Matt gets 4 tokens for that, and he'll get 4 experience, 4 VP if the Dianoga is destroyed.
Yep.
So it's interesting here. Matt's going right after the Dianoga. How do you feel about that? Is that something you think is a good strategy, or do you think it might backfire on him.
I think it depends on how his opponent is playing too. Personally, I would have probably ignored the Dianoga and gone for the kill. I tend to do that when I play this game.
All right, so we got Agent Blaze. He shot at the Dianoga, I believe. Could have shot at the Assassin Droid, although I'm not sure why he would. Didn't have a great roll, but he is using Agent Blaze's ability to take a look at Matt's hand and potentially discard something.
Yep.
How does that ability work again?
When you activate him, it's pretty much during... Sorry.
I apologize. I'm not... He must have played a command card. I was
Definitely
thinking...
a command card. It's not on the card in front of me.
No. I thought that was an Agent Blaze. I mistook. All right, so he's discarding a card to force Ferocity to be discarded. Yep, there we go.
There we go.
I think that was Force Choke, it looked like. Although I don't know why he'd be running Force Choke with this list, so it probably wasn't.
Probably wasn't Force Choke.
It was a Force user on that art, though.
Oh, look like he's going after the Dianoga again.
All right, so the Assassin Droids are just popping at the Dianoga. Agent Blaze moved back a little bit after that. Clearly not wanting...
Not a lot of damage.
That was not as good as his first roll. Does have a couple surge. He's going to re-roll the green one. That helped.
That helped, yep.
Going to get at least a little damage in. And he's going to go off to the side.
Yep.
So the command card Matt discarded is Ferocity. It's a pretty good one. At the end of the round, you can choose one of your or one of your opponent's creatures and perform an attack with that figure. Since he's playing Scum, he does have a creature with the Bantha Rider.
Yes.
Getting extra attack from the Bantha Rider seems pretty decent.
Definitely, especially when it's rolling a blue and red dice.
Yeah, that red die is that's almost always guaranteed damage, no matter what your opponent rolls, unless it's the block, of course. So the Stormtroopers are creating an interesting little spread out line there. And the droids are just kind of jumbling up on the door. So what do you think Dan's planning on doing here, other than going after the terminal, of course?
Oh, well, he's spreading out, so he is trying to basically split up his trooper units.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm wondering if he's going to go in behind Matt and possibly start just causing some damage with the stormtroopers. What do you think he's up to?
I don't know. I could see that seems to be what he's doing, but I guess if he does want to go after Matt, that's the best way to go. You don't want to go through the Dianoga. He's going to be taking extra damage for no reason. Got 2 damage on the board there. I'm not sure what that's referring to.
It could either be damage to the Dianoga or...
That'd be my guess, but I haven't seen a couple things move, so I don't know if... No, things are moving here.
Yep.
Oh, it's probably just setting up for the Dianoga for later. All right. So the Tusken Raiders come in. They've seen enough stormtroopers clear out that they probably feel it's safe to go in.
And they're going to control that terminal. It is. It's just one long line of stormtroopers.
Yeah. They're really spread out. I'm kind of curious to see how that ends up for Dan as we move forward. He does have his officers spread out a little bit as well, which will help. Those officers are great being your troops where you need them.
Definitely.
And he's got, I don't know about his normal stormtroopers, but his heavies are spread out. You can see one down near the bottom of the screen and one up by the officers, which is significant, of course. As you talked about earlier, you want to split your squads to reduce the ability for your opponent to get points.
Definitely.
The other Tusken Raider's leaving his buddy behind.
Once again, splitting up his squad.
So it'll be interesting to see if Dan goes after that Tusken Raider or not. Tusked Raiders on their own are pretty decent. They have a red and a green attack die. They have 7 health, and they have a number of abilities that they can use thanks to a surge. A couple little stormtroopers might have a hard time with them, but looks like Dan's going after them anyway.
Yep.
Going in to contest that terminal, trying to get the advantage there with the command cards. He already has a slight advantage with the rule by fear.
Now they're counting out where he wants to go.
More stormtroopers going off there. It does really look like he's trying to go after Matt, but it doesn't seem. It seems like he's tending to go after that Bantha Rider.
Yep. Well, the Bantha Rider, as we saw in the first match, is a massive beast at 21 health and can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah, and without Dan having some heroes like we saw in the last round with Kenny, those stormtroopers can do damage, but it's going to be a lot harder for Dan to get a single attack that does a lot of damage.
Yep. And he's running elite stormtroopers, and they at least will have 5 health, so they will stick around a little bit longer than normal stormtroopers.
Yeah. A little harder for them to take 1 or 2 blast damage and then have the Bantha just stomp over them.
Yep.
Looks like he's trying to figure out what to do with that Bantha Rider.
And this is another one of those long, narrow corridor maps that is hard to maneuver a Bantha Rider through.
It is. Luckily, there are less obstacles in the way. And one advantage that I forgot to mention earlier is that with those long, narrow hallways, it's very hard to get out of the way of that Bantha.
Yes. And you are going to get pushed and trampled.
It looks like he's thinking about it right now.
Uh-huh.
He's just taking his whole turn, and wow.
Wow.
He just says, I'm going to come over to your stormtroopers and start stomping next round.
Yep, he saw Dan's strategy of, the stormtroopers are going to go over here. Let's just eliminate that.
And assuming no shenanigans, Matt will get initiative next round, which is, after everybody having moved, this is going to be big.
Yes.
There's the Jundland Terror. Oh, no. Oh, what is that? I can't see it. Too quick. What was that? I think that might have been a cancel. One of the cancel effects. Yeah, it must have been. All right, so Matt's overall plan is a little stunted, sadly. Yep. No terror.
He does have 2 Jundland Terrors in his deck, so we'll see if that comes out.
Yeah, he
again.
could potentially play another one next round. You can't play both in the same round.
Nope.
But he can still do some stomping with the trample ability on Bantha Rider. So he's not going to eliminate any stormtroopers like the Jundland Terror might have done. But it was Calm Dispute that canceled out the Jundland Terror.
Yep.
But trample can still damage a whole lot of figures all at once, which is significant.
Yep. And for those of you that don't know, trample is pretty much you choose up to 3 adjacent hostile figures and roll 1 red die. And then each of the figures suffer damage equal to the damage results. It's pretty huge, causes lots of damage.
And when the Bantha goes and ends its movement on top of other figures, as we talked about earlier, in the last match, he pushes all of them around, and when he pushes them, they stay adjacent to that Bantha Rider. So if you land on a couple, you push them next to you, and then you just trample them.
You just trample them. Yep. That's the nastiness of the Bantha Rider.
Let's see how much damage it's going to be. Whoa!
3.
All right.
Yep.
Maximize that. So some Blaze is one of those that's going to take 3 damage. It looks like he's only gotten 2.
Yep.
Unless the Imperial officer is hiding in there. It's hard to tell with the Bantha blocking everything. There might be an Imperial officer next to him, but that Heavy and Blaze both took 3.
Yep. And Blaze has 8 health.
As does the Heavy Stormtrooper.
Yes.
So that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That opens both of them up to 1 shot if you get a really good shot on them.
Definitely. Good roll will just be the end of them.
Yep.
3 defense.
That's really good defense. I'm not sure who's attacking whom here. Obviously, I think it's Dan since the Bantha Rider just went. But there was a command card played. Not sure what they were attacking, though. The Bantha Rider does not have a defense die, so unless it was part of the command card effect.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, it was in response to the Bantha Rider, I think. Probably in response to the Stormtrooper taking some damage. Dan's planning out his move. He definitely wants to get those Stormtroopers either away from the Bantha Rider or spread out a little bit more. It looks like he's trying to sit there and take pot shots at the HK assassin droids.
It's a good strategy.
The heavy Stormtrooper does have +2 accuracy. Normal Stormtrooper does not have natural accuracy, but one of its surge abilities is +3. So there's definitely an advantage to... I mean, he's going to get the advantage if they're just going to sit there and take shots at each other. The assassin droids do not have any sort of way of gaining that kind of accuracy outside of their roles.
Yep. Yep, it looks like he's just going to sit back and take pot shots at him. Ooh. Good defense roll.
Yep, and just not enough attack. As we saw last game, we saw a lot of focusing going on, which really ramps up the attacks. But without the focus, units like the Stormtrooper, which are just they're good for their point cost, but you're just not going to see those like 4 dice attack rolls.
Definitely. Which might give Matt a little bit of the advantage because he has both C-3PO and Gideon that can focus.
Yeah, we'll see if advantage can come into play here. I think that was jump jets, I believe.
Which pretty much you can place your figure in an empty space within 5 spaces.
So he jumped the Tusken Raider, it looks like. Did he jump the Tusken Raider? I think it was.
I think so.
Unless it was Dan jumping one of the Stormtroopers to the front so it could attack. He's too busy trying to find out if it was jump jets and missed what he did. Looks like Matt is planning out his next move now that Dan's made his move. So what do you think? Do you try and pin all of those Stormtroopers, or you try and split your forces, try and get an advantage on the what is currently the right side of the screen while delaying the other ones on the left?
Ooh, both strategies are sound. Me personally, I probably would do the pincher move.
Okay, that seems reasonable. You have to think he's not going to go after the Dianoga anymore, right?
Right. It's already taken some damage. You can just let it be and avoid the middle, and then it's pretty much eliminating your opponent's models at this point.
Not a very good defense roll. Decent attack roll, especially for blue dice. Gonna reroll one, maximizing that damage, and he got it. That assassin droid's going to do some damage. We'll see if it's enough to take out a Stormtrooper. If he uses that surge for a Pierce, I think he's got it.
And then we got a command card came out, and unfortunately, finger was over the name of it.
They're being kind and showing it under the camera, but it's hard to figure out from a quick glance when all you see is the text. So, did not kill the Stormtrooper.
Looks like he took either 2 or 3 damage at that point.
I'm guessing 3.
Yep.
The assassin droid runs away a little bit, tries to force the Stormtroopers to chase, which the focused heavy does. This is going to be a big attack. Element of surprise. This is going to be a very big attack.
Yes, it is.
That's not as good as he was hoping for, I bet. So for those of you at home, element of surprise When you declare an attack, if the target figure did not have line of sight to you at the start of the activation, remove 1 die from its defense pool. So you're basically removing, most figures only have 1 defense die, and you're just trying to hit them hard. But unfortunately, it looks like Dan did not roll very well.
No. He was definitely looking for a higher roll than that.
Sorry, I misspoke earlier. I said focus. That is the hidden token. So just to be clear. I just saw the green and got excited for a focus.
Understandable. Hitting is also fun.
Yes, yeah, and that comes from Agent Blaze's ability. Do you mind telling everybody what that does? I forget, actually.
Oh, his ability? Menace. He increases...
Oh, I apologize.
No.
I thought that was what... I
No.
misspoke. Those of you at home, you're probably saying, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. Perfectly reasonable. It's been a long week here. We've had a ton of fun, but we are a little tired, as I'm sure the players are too. Got a decent attack here. Rerolling the blue die and gets an extra damage from it. So that's 4 damage. That heavy in the middle there did 4 damage to... Not sure what it... made him re-roll the defense die, I think. What was that? Deadeye?
Deadeye, I believe.
Yeah.
And it applies +2 accuracy to the attack results.
Okay, so just making sure you could hit. It's important for the stormtroopers who... that's important for any figure that you're just trying to take a long shot at.
Definitely.
Between that and element of surprise, it's easy to catch an opponent off guard. You know, as we were talking about positioning and trying to go around corners and stuff, those cards can really help, knock your opponent on the back foot when you're hitting a character that they didn't expect you to be able to hit.
Definitely. But you also got to know that Matt was probably anticipating that at least both of those cards showed up in his deck.
Right. I mean, it is. They are popular cards.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of 2 damage from the blue dice, which is great for those rolling them.
Yes. Not normal.
Nope. So another reroll. No more surge, and the defense die is the same, I believe. So we're getting a bunch of damage, and it looks like that heavy's not going off the board. My guess is the Dianoga is going to finish it off at the end of the round, though.
Yep. That would be my guess as well.
So that heavy is pretty much done for, but at the cost of losing a couple assassin droids on, I believe it's Matt's side. And Dan is just pressing the advantage here. He's just jumping that Tusken Raider and going after more of the assassin droids, getting lots of damage. He's having some awesome attack rolls, and Matt is not having very good rolls with his black die. The question is, does he have range? It looks like he might. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looked like he just barely had range there. Coming in with the other one. Again with 4 damage.
He's rolling really well.
The defense die was a little bit better.
Yep.
But wow. That just like that, there goes another assassin droid. This is interesting. Those stormtroopers did a number. All but one of those assassin droids are gone. And he's just coming around the corner and pressing he's not even bothering trying to hide from those the second Tusken Raider or the assassin droid over there.
Yeah, his stormtroopers are just chewing through his list.
Yeah, and they're all away from that Bantha rider. It's going to be really hard for Matt to make that Bantha rider effective.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going to have to spend his whole activation just to get the Bantha rider in position again.
Yeah, and he's going to be losing initiative this round, I believe. So it's going to be very hard for him to do anything with that Bantha rider. I mean, it is on Blaze, but Agent Blaze is not the biggest threat here when you have a whole bunch of stormtroopers eliminating the rest of your list.
Exactly. And Agent Blaze is only worth 6 points.
Yeah, he's a great guy, but killing him is more about eliminating his abilities. And there's a great defense roll.
Yeah.
Dan is just rolling really well.
Sometimes it happens in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the dice play an element here, and it looks like they might be favoring Dan. That said, that Stormtrooper is taking some damage and is weakened. Tusken Raider weakened him.
Yep.
What does the weaken condition do? I am actually not super familiar with that. I don't use cards with the weaken ability too often, so I am most curious. Would you mind enlightening me, Kat?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah. See another roll. Not as good of an attack roll. Defense roll is just eliminating 1 damage. That Tusken Raider, it looks like it's going to take that Stormtrooper off the board. So 1 Stormtrooper down.
All right, so the weaken condition is pretty much while you're attacking, you apply -1 surge to the attack results, which is pretty debilitating. And also while defending, you apply -1 surge cancellation to the defense results.
That seems pretty useful.
Yep. And you discard the card condition at the end of your activation, so it's only there for 1 round.
Right. A number of conditions have that, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice. You're weakening, not necessarily with the weakened condition. You're weakening a figure for the time being, but it's not like that figure is completely out of the fight. That said, 1 round a lot can happen during 1 round. Looks like he's moving up with one of those officers. Well, I think the other officer got taken out by the Bantha earlier.
Yep, it looks to be that way.
That's why we couldn't find it. Bantha wasn't hiding it, it just stomped it. Looks like was originally going to move the Imperial officer, but now he's going to move Agent Blaze instead.
And is Blaze attacking the Bantha?
I'm guessing so. He could be. I think he's got line of sight to that Tusken Raider, but just not. It's just, that's so much range, I don't think it's worth it.
Yep.
So he attacked the Bantha, didn't really do any damage, teeny bit. And then he also, I think he looked at Matt's hand. I don't know if he actually discarded anything. I don't think he did. Must have just decided that Dan decided that the cards in his hand were better than getting rid of Matt's cards. Didn't see anything scary, perhaps. See Gideon coming in. We haven't seen him do much this game yet. Looks like he's going to take a shot at the heavy that's there in the middle, that's almost down. I think that heavy has 7 damage on him, so this attack is probably going to remove him. And it looks like, based on the rolls, it looks like he's definitely going to. All right, yep. That heavy is gone. So in terms of figures and whatnot, it looks like it's fairly even. That said, Dan has 10 points, whereas Matt only has the 2 from the eliminated officer. And Dan only has to eliminate that 1 other assassin droid to get a bunch more. I mean, that's a whole nother 8 points that Dan will have, and he'll be halfway there.
Yep. And then at that point, I suppose he just uses his Bantha Rider to trample the rest of his list, or he goes after the Dianoga.
Yep. And it looks like the Dianoga dealt 1 damage to those 2 stormtroopers that were touching at the heavy and I think that's a snow trooper as well. And we're on to the next round. Initiative passes to Dan. So this is kind of big for Dan. Him getting initiative is super helpful.
Yeah, I can see him activating some of the stormtroopers and just eliminating some Tusken Raiders off of the map.
So looking at Dan's list, that is not actually a snowtrooper. I think he might be using the snowtrooper figure, but he just has 2 normal stormtroopers as well as a heavy stormtroopers on his list. So for those of you at home, don't be confused. There are no snowtroopers in this list. This is the list we were talking about earlier from Seattle, the 4 guys from Seattle. I believe at least 2 of them were eliminated in the top 8. Dan made it through, and I'm not sure. I think actually he might be the only one left looking at things. But we'll figure that out later. There goes the last assassin droid.
Yep. There's 8 points.
This is interesting. So that it's really going to come down to that Bantha Rider, isn't it?
It looks that way.
It seems to be so impotent right now. If it can get into the fray, I think Matt can win this game. But if it can't, if Dan eliminates all of his other figures without losing too many stormtroopers, the Bantha Rider is not going to be able to deal with all of them at once.
I agree with that analysis.
So what do you think you do if you're Matt here? You've got the Tusken Raiders, Gideon, and the Bantha Rider left, but they're all spread out. Any ideas?
At this point, it's either you do as much damage as you can with the Tusken Raiders before they are gone. I think Gideon kind of is a lost cause at this point. He's so separated, but maybe he could move in and do some commanding of one of the Tusken Raiders. But it all comes down to the Bantha Rider.
Yeah. Yeah, if you activate Gideon, you're going to spend your whole turn just getting in line of sight and doing one of his abilities on the Tusken Raider. So is that what you think you would do? Would you do that, or would you take a pot shot at one of the troopers?
I think I'd probably take a pot shot at a trooper.
Okay.
Do as much damage as you can before you're gone.
All right, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, most of the troopers do have at least 1 damage on them, so the more damage that is on each of those, it's a little bit easier for the Bantha Rider to finish them off.
Yep. And Gideon's only worth 3, but he is a very powerful figure to have in your list if you use him accurately.
Yeah. It's either going to come down to killing the Bantha Rider or running away from the Bantha Rider while taking shots at the Dianoga I think, for Dan. He's going to have to do one or the other to win here.
Yep.
Looks like he's checking the time on his watch. It's been a pretty fast-moving game, hasn't it?
It definitely has. This one has been played pretty quickly, and I think it's just a testament to having a Stormtrooper list.
That's fair, yeah. Stormtroopers, if they're not killed quickly, they're just going to do damage on their own. Yep, there goes Ancient Blaze. Awesome for the Bantha Rider.
Nice. That's an additional 6 points.
That's an additional 6 points, but I think more importantly, that means Agent Blaze is off the board.
Yes.
I mean, that means Dan can't make Matt discard anymore with his ability. And, yeah. All right, what do we got going on here?
There's some damage.
It's probably a trooper attacking something. Didn't see them pointing, so it's hard to tell.
Yep.
Wonder if Dan had a chance to activate Blaze this round. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either.
That trooper took a bunch of damage.
He probably only has 1 health left, would be my guess.
Yeah. And the second one did not have a very good roll. Now the dice are betraying Dan, it looks like. After doing so well for him, now they're just refusing to do anything for him. He couldn't even finish off Gideon.
Oh.
I believe that's who he attacked anyway.
Yep. And that happens sometimes because it is a dice rolling game.
Yeah, they giveth and they take away.
Yep.
So here's the third figure. He's going to go after Gideon again. I mean, seems like he's kind of trying to prevent Matt from doing exactly what you said you wanted to do. Wow, Matt's defense for die. Oh. That Gideon just... Oh. I mean, luckily the Stormtrooper did recover some damage, it looks like, thanks to the surge.
Man.
But yeah, that defense die just said no.
Yep. And looks like Gideon survives.
Survives to fight another day. This has been a bit of a turn of events for Matt, taking out Blaze and having Gideon survive 2 attacks from Stormtroopers. That said, if Matt doesn't activate Gideon now, if you're Dan, do you go after Gideon some more with the rest of the Stormtroopers, or do you try and take out some of those Tusken Raiders?
Ugh. I think at this point, I mean, I know my blood would be high, and I'd be like, I'm ready to take out Gideon. Just as a point of principle.
Sure. And I mean, if you do go after Gideon, at least all your Stormtroopers are clumped together on the other side of the map from the Bantha Rider.
True.
I mean, there's a few close by, but that one that's right next to the Bantha Riders, almost a lost cause at this point.
Yep.
And he is still getting Dan command cards as long as he's the only one by that terminal.
Yep, and I think he's counting out where the Bantha Rider can potentially move this turn.
That's something you got to be aware of.
Yep.
I mean, if Matt has drawn that second Jundland Terror anytime recently, that could just end the game.
Definitely. And it looks like they're just thinking what their next move is going to be at this point.
Seems smart. This seems to be we're getting down to a critical point here, I think, where it's going to go one way or the other. And Dan has to be very aware that he's going to be giving initiative away this turn.
Yep. And like we've said repeatedly throughout this broadcast, is that you make one wrong move and it could just spell the end doom for you.
Yeah. I mean, it may not appear so off, just immediately, but over time, that mistake is going to amplify and cost you. All right.
And there goes the Stormtrooper.
Yep. Tusken Raider takes out the Stormtrooper. It looks like Matt is just trying to take out as many Stormtroopers as possible to gain an advantage. There is still a heavy on the board, which and I don't think it's activated this turn. Whoa.
Ooh, there's a dodge.
That officer said no. I'm not going anywhere. The officer must be quick on his feet to avoid a Tusken Raider.
Definitely.
The heavy just jumps across the Dianoga, tries to join his friends, get away from that Tusken Raider. I believe he's attacking the Tusken Raider in response as well. Not very good range. I don't think he's
got it.
No, I mean, he does have a surge, but he's only got 4 accuracy between the natural accuracy and what was rolled. He took out Gideon. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. So Gideon's finally off the board.
Yep. There's an additional 3 points for Dan.
So at this point, if you're Dan, you got all your guys lumped together, but you're very aware of that Bantha coming after you. Do you try and take shots at the Dianoga while outrunning the Bantha? Or, I mean, you still have to deal with the Tusken Raiders as well.
Right. I think that would be my strategy, actually. Just take some shots at the Dianoga while trying to evade that Bantha.
He's taken enough shots that he might be able to just win outright if he does the rest of the damage to the Dianoga. I think the Dianoga is just over half health remaining.
Yep.
And I think Dan's done most of that damage. I know there's a big attack. I can't remember if it was Dan or Matt. Do you remember?
I thought it was Dan.
Okay. Yeah. So if it was, the problem is that means he still has to do about 12 damage to the Dianoga, which is rough. You have to spend basically a whole round doing that, which doesn't seem like a good idea in his situation where he's already down.
Yep. I agree. I mean, and if he eliminates the Tusken Raiders, if Dan does, I mean, that's 7 points. Yeah, I think the Dianoga is where he needs to be at this point.
Does get the heavy hit. Oh, no, the hidden was a mistake. There's no blaze anymore, so.
Yep. And there's the dodge.
Wow. Not that the attack roll is very good, but it's nice just saying no.
Yep.
It's so easy to miss it the other way, and I always think that, right? Okay.
If you're Matt, what are you trying to do to finish this off as you gain initiative here?
See, I see that juicy pile of stormtroopers just sitting there, and I move my Bantha Rider in there. That would be my strategy.
Seems fair. I mean, the Bantha Rider has pretty much full health, right? I think it's only gotten a little bit.
Yeah.
So putting it in there is not a risk and losing all those points.
It's just a matter of getting him to the stormtroopers.
Right. Looks like he's going with stormtroopers firing first. Oh, Dan must have used take initiative because he has initiative back. So that'll help him survive.
Ooh, that's some good damage.
I think that Tusken Raider might just be gone.
Uh-huh. They only have 7 health, so.
It looked like he was dealing 6, was it?
6, I think it was.
running away. Okay, so he must have been full health because he's still on the board.
Yep. He's hurting, though, so...
Yeah. One more shot and he's probably gone. Looks like Matt, he's trying to figure out what to do with the rest of his things. So the Matt's looking at his hand.
He's got element of surprise in there, and I couldn't see anything else.
I think he had urgency as well, or negation. Maybe it was a negation. Although if he had a negation...
He should have negated
right.
Take initiative. So
not sure about that. Matt's thinking over what to do during his action before Dan uses his other figures, I think. He's trying to decide if he wants to use one of those command cards. You know, Dan had the early advantage with the command cards, but it looks like Matt's kind of swung it in his favor. He's clearly got the unit at the bottom there, the terminal at the bottom, and the top one's being contested. Oh, he's looking to just go right through the center. That's interesting. I don't know if Dan expected that. He was counting it out around the edge of the board before.
And there he moves in.
Goes right in the middle, crunches them one.
All those stormtroopers out of the way.
And he hits all three of those. Let's see what he rolls. So Stampede did damage to a couple of them just because he ended his movement on top of those stormtroopers. So the stormtroopers suffer 1 damage. Any unit that the Bantha Rider ends its movement on top of, hostile figures. So it doesn't hurt your friendly ones. But that's why there was some extra damage being added onto the stormtroopers there. And at this point, I think no matter what Matt rolls, it doesn't look like he used trample though. He must have, yeah. He would have had to use both of his actions to get there, right?
Yeah, I mean the Bantha Rider only has 5 speed, so that probably took him all the way.
But he got a little extra damage in, and now he's right in the thick of it again.
Exactly.
See, looks like the heavy's taking a shot at the.
And if Matt has initiative next round, and those stormtroopers are still there.
Yeah, those stormtroopers don't move. Dan's in trouble. And he already used take initiative, so you know Matt's going to have it. All right, he got an extra surge out of that. Making sure, I think he's using the surge to make sure he has range, since he only had 3 on the blue die, which got enough damage in that Tusken Raider's gone. Trying to run away from that Bantha a little bit. He's probably going to spread out the stormtroopers, huh, and go every which way with them.
That's what I would do at this point. He only has 2 models left on the board.
And that other Tusken Raider, I think, has pretty big health, right?
Yes.
Not
it
too much
might even be at
damage.
full health, or maybe only has 1 or 2.
Yeah, I don't remember. That said, though, it is kind of big that Dan is making Matt move it off the terminal to come and fight with the stormtroopers. That's significant because Dan will be getting some more command cards and Matt will not be getting any. Does not kill the stormtrooper.
Causes damage, though.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, very interesting to see what happens this very next round. Is those stormtroopers are not going to be able to kill both the Tusken Raider and the Bantha. I think he's rightly going after the Tusken Raider at this point.
Yep. Just to get that additional 7 points.
Yeah. Only does 2 damage, though. That's... Yep, still only 2. That's just a scratch for that Tusken Raider. Gonna run.
Run away.
Get away from that Bantha. Run as far as he can.
Yeah, looks like Dan's strategy at this point is to gang up on the Tusken Raider and just eliminate it.
Yep. He's attacking again, but that was a really good defense roll by the Tusken Raider. Dan's dice luck has definitely swung, but it seems it was enough. The Tusken Raider's gone.
Yep.
Must have been damaged.
Now it's down to a Bantha that I believe is at full health.
Yeah, I don't. The Blaze did attack it once or twice, so it might have a little bit. But both of those attack rolls, if my memory serves correct, were not very strong. So it probably still has like 19 health on it.
Yep. It also doesn't roll any defense dice, so this will be interesting.
Yeah. And he's Clearly trying to spread out his stormtroopers, make it so the Bantha can only take out 1 or 2 at a time. Not the greatest, but does a little bit more damage to it. So Bantha's probably down to about 15 now. And it's going to be very hard for Matt to kill all of them.
Yes. What do you think Matt's strategy should be at this point?
I think you got to go somewhere where you can hit both.
Mm-hmm.
I think you go to the left there. I think you go to the left there and try and get at least 2 of them out. If you go to the left, you only need to move once, so you can use trample. We just got note the Bantha Rider only has 8 health left. This is not looking good for Matt at all. He does get initiative, but with only 1 figure, that's not going to do much for him. Was that interrogation, I think? I think that was cruel interrogation. Don't see that on either list, though. Must have missed it. Well, we'll see what happens here. Sorry, correction. 13 health on the Bantha. It has had 8 damage. So, that said, that's more than Matt probably would like, with 6 stormtroopers still on the board.
Yeah, he just needs to start eliminating stormtroopers, and he only has 1 activation this round.
Yeah, and I think Daniel has correctly maneuvered so that Bantha can only hit 2 at most. Looks like Matt might be trying to get 3. There might be 1 spot. Yeah, it looks like there's 1 spot. If he goes up on the wall there, he could get 3.
Yep.
Okay, nope, he's going for all 4.
Nice.
So the 1 takes 1 since it was sitting in his way. And then he uses trample. Only 1 damage. That is not what he needed. Oh, no. He didn't. He took out only 1 of the stormtroopers. I think that's it. That's got to be it for Matt.
A very upsetting dice roll for Matt.
Yeah, if he had been able to take out 2 or 3 of them, he might have had a shot, but... I think they're having a discussion about how much damage was on that stormtrooper. Wow. If he had taken out a bunch of them, he might have had a shot. As the other stormtroopers wouldn't have been able to get close enough and take a shot and run away, which means then next round he might have been able to take out a couple more with the Bantha if it had survived. But at this point, I don't think it's even going to survive this round.
It might not.
Looks like he took out a second stormtrooper. He must have played a card or something.
Yep.
Doing an extra attack. Well, then now that stormtrooper's focused. 2 of them are focused. This is not good. Running away a little bit.
Always a smart move with the Bantha.
That's 6 damage, just straight up.
Yep.
That Bantha is in trouble.
Yeah, it might not even survive the end of this round.
So whoever wins here moves on to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
If it is Dan, we'll have Imperials in the finals, and whatever wins the other top 4 match, which is exciting for the Seattle group. They will have somebody in the finals guaranteed. If Matt moves in, he'll be the only scum left. I believe there's a Rebel and an Imperial on the other top 4. There's a bunch more damage.
Yep.
Yeah, they shake the hands. Dan takes it. Whittled down all the mercenaries until it was just the Bantha Rider, and when the Bantha Rider's by himself, it's hard to win. Looks like the other match is going on in the background. Let's see that group of people up at the top of the screen. Congratulations to Dan making the finals.
Yep, valiant effort by Matt.
Yeah. I mean, he made it all the way to the top 4 with mercenaries, which I think a lot of people perhaps incorrectly perceive as the weakest of the 3 factions.
I agree with you. It's obviously we've had how many mercenary lists show up at Worlds,
Right. I mean, we had 6 in the top 16.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
huge.
we've seen 2 here on the stream today already. Unfortunately, this was the last one in the running, so we will not see one in the finals, unfortunately. But yeah, I like the mercenaries a lot. The Bantha riders, of course, are always the mainstay, but
Definitely.
I mean, as we saw, you can kind of switch out mercenaries or Bosk or mercenaries, Tusken Raiders or Bosk, and I know they're less competitive, but I don't know about you, but I always see a lot of Nexu as well. Just
Yes, I see a lot of Nexus.
people seem predisposed to them for some reason.
Yeah, I don't usually run them in my lists either, but there's a lot of people that really enjoy playing them.
Yeah. Looks like they're just talking to guys. Matt's getting some handshakes. Dan being told he's just staying there. Do not move, sir.
Do not move, sir. Reset up your list.
I think we'll let him go to the bathroom, though. That seems fair, right?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it is day 4.
He's had a long week, as we have all, but he's not letting that stop him from making it to the finals, which is awesome.
Yep, so for sure we have Imperial.